G'day folks, Costo here once again, this time as host of Bushbeat, where we shine a light on bush footy far and wide, and in this particular episode we're focusing on Narrabri in northwestern New South Wales. This season, sadly, no sign of the Blues in first grade, first time that's happened ever in more than a century outside COVID and the Second World War. But the good news, the mighty Blues are coming back. My one-on-one chat with the new coach of Narrabri, Hayden Bell, on location at Collins Park on the banks of Narrabri Creek, coming up later in the show. After the break, our statewide wrap for New South Wales, plus the ACT. That's next on Bushbeat. Welcome back to Bushbeat. Time now to have a look at New South Wales and results right across the state. Firstly in Newcastle, and last weekend in the Denton Cup, round 16, the Maitland Pickers beat Souths 24 points to 10. The entrants defeated Central 20 to 16. Curry too good for the Macquarie Scorpions, 32 points to 8. And Cessnock won 16-12 at Wyong. Lakes United were scheduled to host Western Suburbs last weekend, but we now find out that has been pushed back until Tuesday of next week, August 19. Right now, the Pickers still sitting pretty on 27 points. Cessnock and the entrants second and third respectively on 22 points. Next is Wyong 21, West 20, Central, South and Curry all on 18 points, Macquarie 12, Lakes 10 and the Northern Hawks on 4. This Saturday in the Denton Cup, the entrants at Cessnock, Lakes at home to Macquarie, the Rosellas off to Maitland, Central host the Hawks, and Souths welcome Wyong. All games kick off at 3 o'clock. In neighbouring Group 21 in the Hunter Valley, last weekend Scone won 50 points to 6 at Denman, Greater Branxton 32-10 over Aberdeen, and Singleton cleaned up at Muswellbrook 64 points to 12. Greater Branxton and Singleton fighting it out for the minor premiership, both teams on 21 points, with the Colts first on 4 and against. In third place, we've got Scone, the Thoroughbreds on 15, Aberdeen 9, Muswellbrook and Denman in that order on 7. This coming weekend, the final round on Saturday, Aberdeen host Muswellbrook from 5:30, and then at 2 o'clock on Sunday, we've got Denman at Singleton and Greater Branxton up at Scone. In Group 4, the final round played last weekend, Werris Creek destroyed Dungowan 64 points to 4. Boggabri wiped out Cootie 60-0 and Gunnedah 36-24 over North Tamworth. Now, because of flooding, the game at Wee Waa between the Panthers and Moree Boars did not go ahead for obvious reasons. And the Boars on top as we speak on 20 points, followed by three teams on 19, Gunnedah, Werris Creek and Boggabri in that order on 4 and against. North Tamworth next on 17, Cootie 6, Dungowan 4, Wee Waa on 0. This weekend, well, I know for a fact it's a catch-up weekend in Group 4, but according to the official draw, the finals are on. That's just very confusing for a lot of people outside Group 4 wanting to know what is going on in Group 4. In Group 19 last weekend, the finals did get underway. Warrielda Wombats, they had a picnic in the park, 60 points to 12 over Gyra in their elimination final at Warrielda. And in the qualifying final, Tinga playing at home, big winners over Uralla, 42 points to 12. On the coast and the Northern Rivers, just the one game last weekend, according to the official draw that we saw on the league's portal before our show went to air last Thursday. That was Lower Clarence v Casino in a mud bath at Yamba last Saturday. The Cougars coming from behind to overcome the Magpies 16-12. But get this, it turns out we were wrong. And it turns out there were in fact other matches, contrary to what the information did indicate. Byron Bay, for the record, they upset Evans Head 14 points to 10. Mullumbimby won 32-18 at Kyogle. Bilambil won 20 points to 6 at Tweed Heads. Ballina came away from Lismore with a 32-10 victory over Marist Brothers. And Costigan defeated the visiting Tweed Coast Raiders 40 points to 8. And as for Northern United, they forfeited their match at Murwillumbah. Probably now have to show cause why they should not be excluded from first grade next season. The latter in the Northern Rivers, Costigan 27 points, Marist Brothers 21, Bilambil 20, Ballina 19, Casino and Murwillumbah both on 17 points, Mullum 15, Evans Head 14, Tweed Heads 13, Kyogle and Tweed Coast both on 11, Lower Clarence 9, Byron Bay now 4, and Northern Hawks on 2. Coming up at 2:45 on Saturday, Bilambil at home to Evans Head, and Ballina welcome Kyogle. And at the same time on Sunday, Marist Brothers hosting Lower Clarence, Tweed Heads off to Mullum, Costigan at Byron Bay, Tweed Coast at home to Murwillumbah. And according to the schedule, and assuming they turn up after last weekend's no-show, we've got Northern Hawks at Casino. In Group 2 last weekend, the final round before the playoffs, Coffs 28-20 winners on the road against South Grafton. Maxwell spanked the Grafton Ghosts 54-0. And in that top-of-the-table clash at Nambucca Heads, Woolgoolga beat the Chooks 18-10. The final standings, the Seahorses finishing on 25 points. As minor premiers, they now have a weekend off, second and third respectively. Nambucca and Sawtell both on 18. Then Maxwell and Coffs both on 16. Outside the final five, just the two teams. Yes, that's how they roll in Group 2. South Grafton 11 and the Ghosts collecting the spoon with 8 points. This Saturday, sudden death finals footy at Maxwell, where the Eagles play the Comets. And on Sunday, the qualifying semi-final at Coronation Park, where Nambucca welcome Sawtell. 2:10 is the kick-off time for both matches. In Group 3 last weekend, Wingham defeated Taree City 28-8. Port City 44-24 over Warhope. Olbar beat Port Macquarie Sharks 18-14. And Macleay Valley thrashed Foster Tuncurry 46-16. The Sharks on top on 20 points with one round to go. Next, Olbar, the Pirates on 17. Macleay Valley 16. Warhope 12. Wingham 11. Port City 8. Foster Tuncurry 4. And with the 0, Taree City. This Saturday at 3 o'clock, Taree City's final chance to win a game this season, with the Bulls at home to Warhope, as the top-of-the-table Sharks welcome the third-place Mustangs. On Sunday from 2:45, the Hawks host Wingham, as the Pirates entertain Port City. On the Central Coast, just north of the Hawkesbury, another washout last weekend. On the assumption we are back on the field this Sunday, the penultimate round, Berkeley Vale at home to Wyong, Toukley welcome Terrigal, Erina host Arimba, the Colts v the entrance at Kincumber, and as usual, all games start at 3:05. In the MacArthur, last Sunday, Thirlmere back on the field, thank goodness, but Oakdale workers too good for the Chooks, the Bears winning 30-12 in the Steam Town. Elsewhere, Camden won 22-12 at Picton, East Campbelltown 44-22 over Narellan, Mittagong beat the Goannas 42-16, and 26-all between City Kangaroos and the Oaks. This Sunday, a homecoming for Billy Hayward. He takes his East Campbelltown side to Mittagong. Elsewhere, we've got the Oaks at Narellan, Kangaroos at Oakdale, Collegians at Thirlmere, and the Goannas at Picton, with all games as per usual starting at 3 o'clock. In the Gong last weekend, Collegians won 22 points to 14 at Dapto, Western Suburbs 34-6 over De La Salle, and Thurul 16-14 winners against Corrimal. To the ladder in the Harrigan Cup, the minor premiers in waiting, Collegians on 24 points, Devils and Canaries 16, De La Salle 12, and then Thurul and Corrimal in that order on 8 points. This Saturday, De La Salle host the Cougars, the Dogs welcome the Butchers, and the Canaries at home to the Devils. A 3 o'clock start for all three games. In Group 7, last weekend, the continuation of Round 15 with Kiama 16-2 winners at Gerringong, and Milton Ulladulla playing at home, crashing to the Sharks, with Shellharbour prevailing 40-10. 3 games coming up on Saturday, Nowra at Berry, Jamboree at home to Milton, and Albion Park at Kiama. And then on Sunday, the Sharkies return to Ron Costello to play the Lions, with all fixtures starting as per usual at 3 o'clock. In Group 16 last weekend, Tathra wiped out Cooma 60-0. The Blue Heelers went close to beating Merimbula Pambula, but the Bulldogs managed to sneak home 28-26 up at Bombala. Eden defeated Maria 34-10 and Bega 34-4 over Bateman's Bay. The latter, the Dogs undefeated on 30 points, Tathra and Eden second and third respectively on 24. They're followed by Narooma 15, Cooma 14, Bega 12, Bombala 11, Maria 8, and Bateman's Bay on 6. Coming up, 2 catch-up matches from round 1 with Cooma off to Narooma on Saturday, and on Sunday, Tathra at home to Eden. The kickoff is 2:45 for both matches. In Group 9 in the Riverina last weekend, Gundagai 32-22 over Albury. Kangaroos beat Temora 24-18. Cootamundra crushed Brothers 44-4. Young scraped home 26-24 against South City. And Tumut too good for Junee 30-12. To the ladder in Group 9, the Great Northern Premiership, the Glamour Boys. Kangaroos, they don't like getting called that, but we'll call them the Glamour Boys. Kangaroos leading the way on 26. Next, Gundagai on 20 points, followed by Temora and Tumut on 19. Young 18, Albury 14, Junee 10, South City 8, Coota 6, Brothers no score. Some big local derbies coming up. On Saturday, Brothers host Roos as Tumut make the trip to Temora rather. And on Sunday, the Pickers play Journey at Young. The Bulls travel to Albury and Kuta welcome Gundagai. All games kick off at 2:35. In neighbouring Group 20 last weekend, Darlington Point Colliamberley knocked off Waratahs 32-26. Leeton 52-16 over TLU Sharks. Hay belted West Wyalong 66-6. And Yanko 28-22 over Yenda. The latter, Waratahs now leading by just 2 points. The Tigers on 26, DPC 24, Leeton 20, Yanko 17, Hay 15, Yenda and Black and Whites 14, TLU 12, West Wyalong on 8. This Sunday, the Waratahs host Hay, and across town, Black and Whites welcome Yenda outside Griffith, TLU at home to the Mallee-men, and Leeton welcome Yanko. All games start at 2:30. In the Peter McDonald Premiership, the PMP last weekend, the final round, Dubbo Sims 58-8 over Ningen. Orange Sims edged out the Panthers 22-20. Dubbo Macquarie won 26-24 at Parks. Forbes prevailed 48-32 against Wellington. Mudgee 14-6 winners at Lithgow. And Orange Hawks 34-16 over Bathurst and Pats. The final standings, Dubbo Sims just beat Forbes for the minor premiership. Both teams finished on 25 points, but Dubbo Sims on top thanks to their for and against. 14 points better off than the Magpies, just for the record. And the Black and Whites, well, they had their chance to finish first, but they leaked too many points last weekend against the Cowboys. Third on the table, Orange Sims 23, followed by Mudgee 21, Wellington 20, Hawks 17, St Pat 16, Macquarie 14, Parks 12, Ningen 9, Panther 6, and with the spoon, Lithgow Workies on 4. The finals kick off this Saturday, Forbes v Orange Sims from 2 o'clock at Spooner Oval. That's 2v3. And from 2:10, sudden death at Wade Park between the Hawks and St Pat's. That's 6 versus 7. And then on Sunday, sudden death at Wellington, where the Cowboys play Macquarie from 2:10. That's 5 versus 8. And at 2:30 at Apex Oval, it's 1 versus 4 as Dubbo Sims lock horns with Mudgee. In the Woodbridge Cup last weekend, the start of the finals, and Peak Hill and Trundle now finished for the season. Orange United 34-10 over the Chooks, and Molong 26-18 over the Boomers. In the qualifying finals, Manildra beat Cara 20 points to 16, and minor premiers Oberon 47-10 over Canoundra. This Saturday, it's sudden death for the Tigers as they look to reload. Canoundra to play Orange United at 3 o'clock at Tom Clyburn Oval. And on Sunday at 2 p.m, another do-or-die clash. It's Cara at home to Molong. In the Castlereagh, for week 1 of the finals, success for the home teams. Narromine 34-22 over Coona, and Gulgong 32-22 over Canamble. This Saturday, we've got the minor semi-final, Coona at home to Gulgong, and on Sunday, the major semi, minor premiers Coolah welcome Narromine. Both games start at 2:30. In the ACT, the Canberra Raiders Cup, Tuggeranong kept their winning streak going last weekend, 36-22 over Goulburn. That's now 9 straight wins for the Bushrangers, and they have the bye this weekend. Elsewhere, Belconnen United beat Yass 28-18. The Roos 40 points to 24 winners over West Belconnen. And Woden Valley, get this, they're still mathematically in finals contention after they upset the Blues 24-20. The latter, Roos now with a 2-point buffer. Roos on 22 points, Blues still on 20, followed by Tuggeranong 18, West Belconnen 17, Woden Valley 15, Belconnen United 11, Gungahlin 10, Goulburn 9, Yass 6. Roos looking to secure the minor premiership this weekend when they face the Bulls at Gungahlin. In the other games, the Rams back at Phillip against Goulburn, Yass at home to the Blues, and at Raiders Belconnen, West Belconnen v Belconnen United. All games start at the usual time of 3 o'clock. Finally, the George Took Shield last weekend. The Snowy River Bears forfeited against the Green Devils at Crookwool. Very poor form, I must say, from the Bears after coming over from Group 16, and it was up to me, I'd be sending them back. In the matches that were played, Harden 40 points to 8 winners over the Goannas. North Canberra, the real Bears in that part of the world, they beat UC Stars 20 points to 18, and Bungendore defeated Burrawa 30 points to 22. The Green Devils still on top on 20 points. Next, Bungendore on 19, followed by Harden and Burrawa in that order on 16. Bynalong 11, North Canberra Bears and Snowy River Bears on 8. Googong Goannas 4 and the Stars on 0. This Saturday, the penultimate round, we've got the Stars over at Bynalong. Kick-off 2:15. Then at 2:30, the Burrawa, they host the Goannas. At Jindabyne, Snowy River Bears, after their no-show last week, they play the North Canberra Bears. And from 3 o'clock at McLean Oval, it's Harden v Bungendore. Stay with us, folks. Coming up, you'll hear from legendary former North Queensland official Ron Reid, who back in the day made a massive contribution to Proserpine, Whitsunday, Burdekin Whitsunday, and North Queensland Rugby League. That is next on Bushbeat. Welcome back to Bushbeat here on rugbyleague.com, and I'm joined by my special guest right now from the cane fields of North Queensland, from the sugar milling town, in fact, of Proserpine, about 1,100 kilometres north of Brisbane. So yes, we are in the tropics. My special guest, well, he's an icon around here. Ron Reid, welcome to Bushbeat.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Well, I'll tell you what, Reedy, without embarrassing you, I've known you for a long time, and I reckon when I first met you, you had legendary status, not just in the eyes of myself, but many other people. That was nearly 4 decades ago, and touch wood, you're still going strong.
Yes, I agree with you there. I've sort of filled a lot of positions in rugby league, and from my own club to the North Queensland Rugby League. And I've been involved in all those leagues for a long time.
Well, you're rather unique because I'm going to go through your CV here in terms of the honours that have been bestowed upon you, in terms of rugby league honours, that is. You've been a great servant of the game in many different aspects, but you're a life member of the Proserpine Brahmins Club. You're a life member of the now-defunct Whitsunday Rugby League, the now-defunct Burdekin Whitsunday Rugby League, the QRL Northern Division, which is effectively the old North Queensland Rugby League, but also a life member of the Queensland Rugby League. Now, I'm pretty sure you're in pretty elite company in that regard.
Yes, I don't think there wouldn't be too many people who've got all those honours. And I really appreciated them being awarded to me.
In fact, the great John McDonald, the man they call Cracker McDonald, you can quite well remember when he came to your beloved Proserpine for one of those particular moments where he was here to pay tribute to you.
Yeah, he presented me with the Queensland Rugby League live membership, and it was on the night of the Papua New Guinea side playing down here.
So this is Papua New Guinea back in the early days when they were travelling through Queensland, if memory serves me right, on their way to Townsville to play a test match in 1992 against the Kangaroos.
Yes, that's exactly right.
That is a long time ago. Reedy, let's talk about some of your career highlights, and particularly for those people not familiar with your background, you made a massive contribution as an administrator, running the game, running your club, running the district league, and also at regional level as team manager for different rep sides. I want to go back to Foley Shield. In this part of the world, you and I both know it's such a big thing, historically at least, going back to 1948 when it first started, and your beloved Whitsunday, which was the best of the local players in the local competition. You scaled the Mount Everest of rugby league in North Queensland, winning that Foley Shield in 1973. How special was that for you?
It was a very special event. When you're competing against places like Townsville and Cairns and Mount Isa, Innisfail, it's an honour when a low population area like ours can get up and win those things.
And when you talk low population, you're talking about Proserpine, famous as a sugar milling town with a tourism industry in Airlie Beach, not far away, which was very, very small back in those days. Bowen, which was in many ways agriculture with fruit and vegetable, and Collinsville, the coal mining town. No traffic lights in any of those three towns. This is a long time ago.
Yes, you're absolutely right there. No traffic lights.
And it was the first and only time that Whitsunday won the Foley Shield, so it's something that no one will ever take away from you. And tell us about your role in that 73 team when you went through the various stages of winning that Foley Shield. What capacity did you serve? What do you remember?
Yeah, well, I was the secretary of the league, and a lot of organising, even just through the local games. One played in Collinsville, and another one played in Bowen, and back to here. And then you've got to get up to Townsville and accommodation and all the travel arrangements to get the three towns together again. So yes, it's quite a bit of work to do.
Tell us about actually getting the players together for training. How difficult was that back in those days, getting them to come from Collinsville, Bowen and Proserpine? I dare say you used to get together in Bowen. The roads very different in those days.
Yeah, the training was always done in Bowen. And in that team, it was unusual that you used to have 18 players, and 6 came from each town. 6 from Prossie, 6 from Bowen, 6 from Collinsville.
And just to put that into perspective, back in those days, no love lost between those 3 clubs. On the field, bitter enemies, but they came together for a common cause when it came to rep footy.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. Yeah, they got on really well together. There were some pretty good organisers in the team.
And some pretty fair players as well. One player that stands out like a beacon. He had a big CV. I think you know where I'm going with this. He played for Australia. Les Hannigan. What a superstar he would have been back in those days.
Yes, and a champion bloke too. That's what really helps a lot, is to have the right people in charge.
Another player who's part of folklore here, the late Jimmy Hill. How big of a cog was he in the wheel in those days for Whitsunday?
Yeah, well, he scored a try in the game, which I said was the winning try.
This is against Innisfail in the final?
Yes.
Can you explain to our audience far and wide, listening in through rugbyleague.com, about how significant it was to go to Townsville on that Sunday in September to play in this final called the Foley Shield?
Yeah, it was a great event, there's no doubt about that. But we got up there on the Saturday and had Saturday night there, and everything was pretty well organised.
And as history shows, it never happened again for Whitsunday.
No, the only time we went to a final was in 1972 and got easily beaten.
Very difficult, as you say, small playing base.
Yes, exactly right.
73, you had a reunion only a couple of years ago. That would have been pretty sweet to see some old faces back in town for something pretty special.
Yeah, 50-year reunion. I noticed my photo in there. I haven't changed very much.
We're speaking with Ron Reid, legendary administrator out of Proserpine in North Queensland, both for Proserpine and Whitsunday, but also a huge contribution to North Queensland. We'll talk about that after the break. Stick around, more to come on Bushbeat here on rugbyleague.com. G'day folks, Costo here once again as the host of Bushbeat, where we shine a light on bush footy far and wide, from the cane fields to the coal fields, and from the grain fields to the gold fields. In this particular episode, you'll hear from an old mate of mine, an icon of rugby league in his part of the world, a place that is pretty dear to my heart. It's the Whitsundays, which, as you may know, is famous for its tropical islands on that magnificent stretch of coast between Mackay and Bowen. But before that, our statewide wrap for New South Wales, plus the ACT. That is next, here on Bushbeat on rugbyleague.com. Welcome back to Bushbeat, and let's now go 600 kilometres north of Proserpine to the tourist city of Cairns in far north Queensland, where the upcoming finals have been tarnished by more drama. Last weekend, not 1 but 2 forfeits. Edmonton Storm once again a no-show, this time against Ivanhoe's. And the disease is catching in that part of the world, with Yarrabah also forfeiting their match against Suburbs. Not long after Yarrabah, of course, got to host a Q Cup game. So just 3 matches played last weekend. Cairns Brothers 36-18 over arch rivals Kangaroos. Mossman Port Douglas defeated Mariba 44 points to 28. And the Atherton Roosters, they were crowing after winning 22-10 at Tully. The final standings, Cairns Brothers, the minor premiers, with 34 points. Followed by the Roosters on 30 points, Suburbs 28, Mossman 23, Ivanhoe's 21, Kangaroos 19, outside the 6, Tully 18, Mariba 15, Innisfail and Yarrabah both on 14, Edmonton with that big fat 0. And by the way, they conceded almost 1,000 points for the whole season, a huge junior nursery for the Edmonton Storm, of course. Perhaps they're better off becoming a feeder club in the seniors to Suburbs. This Saturday, all roads lead to the home of the Golden Gumboot, with 2 semi-finals to be played at the Tully Showgrounds, 5:20pm, Suburbs v Roos, followed by the 7 o'clock match between Mossman and Ivanhoe's. It'll be interesting to see what sort of crowd they get to for that double header. Both games are being referred to as minor semi-finals, so we'll have to assume it is sudden death for all concerned. In Townsville last weekend, Souths dined out at Jack Mansky Oval. They flogged Brothers 34-10, a week after getting smashed at Charters Towers. Burdekin bounced back, beating the Miners 28-24. Centrals defeated North 30 points to 20. And Western Lions ran right up at Ingham, 44-14 over the Crushers. The ladder in Townsville, Souths on top on 32, Brothers 25, Herbert River 20, Western Lions 16, Burdekin 14, Charters Towers and Centrals both on 12, Norths on 11. This Saturday, Norths host Herbert River, and Brothers at home to Charters Towers. Those games starting at 4:30 and 4:45 respectively. And then on Sunday, Souths play Centrals at the Sports Reserve from 3:30. And from 4:30 at Neil Stewart, we have Western Lions v Burdekin. In Mackay last weekend, the final round, Souths hammered Western Suburbs 46-8. Serena Crocs beat the Whitsunday Brahmins 50 points to 18, and Brothers 22-8 over Magpies. The final standings, Moranbah finished on top, but only just. The Miners and Souths both on 27, but Moranbah had a superior record in for and against by just 2 points. What a finish in Mackay. Brothers came third on 24, then Magpie 16, Serena and West both on 10, Whitsunday 6, and the Brahmins, for the record, failing to win a single game this season, as per our chat with Ronnie Reid. This Sunday, crazy stuff. 2 semi-finals at the same venue, on different fields, albeit, at the same time. It reminds me of when I played under-11s for Magpies in Mackay. At 3 o'clock on Field 5, we've got a qualifying final between Souths and Brothers, and over on Field 2, also at 3 o'clock, sudden death between Magpies and Serena. In the Central Highlands last Friday night, the finals got underway at Mackendale Park. Brothers beat the Crushers, Blackwater going down the gurgler 42 points to 26. And last Saturday night at Bluff, the Rabbitohs defeated Middlemount 36-22. This Saturday at 7 o'clock, we've got the preliminary final at Middlemount, where the Panthers play Brothers, the winner to face Bluff in the season finale. In the beef capital in Rockhampton last weekend, the defending premiers Emu Park, they cemented their place in the grand final. The Emus defeating Brothers, Rocky Brothers that is, 32 points to 20. Before that, Yeppoon 40, North 6, meaning the Seagulls now play Brothers in the preliminary final this Sunday from 3 o'clock at Emu Park. In the rum capital, Bundaberg, week 1 of the finals last weekend, East eliminated Harvey Bay 30 points to 16, and in the qualifying final, Brothers 42-10 over Roos. This Saturday at Salter Oval, Roos v East from 4:15, followed by the 6 o'clock match between Waves and Brothers. In the Northern Districts, the finals get underway this Sunday with Avondale v Gin Gin at 2:20, followed by South Callan versus Miriam Vale at 4 o'clock. Both games to be played at Calliope. In the Central Burnett last weekend, the finals kicked off at Gayndah. Mundubra 66-12 over Monto, and Biggendon beat the Gladiators 20 points to 6, so Gayndah now have to dust themselves off for the preliminary final, which is this Saturday at their home ground, where they play Mundubra at 4 o'clock. In the neighbouring South Burnett, the finals get underway this Saturday at Blackbutt, where it's Wandai versus Mergen, followed by Cherbourg v Kingaroy. Those games starting at 12:30 and 2:30 respectively. On the Sunshine Coast last weekend, Stanley River 48-12 over Kawana. Noosa beat Caboolture 26-4. Maroochydore crushed the Crushers 40 points to 10 at Nambour. And Coolum 34-8 winners against Caloundra. The latter on the sunny coast, Stanley River 64 points, Maroochydore 54, Coolum 48, Noosa 46, Biawar and Kawana both on 36, Caloundra 26, Nambour 20 and Caboolture on 6. Coming up, the final round on Saturday, we've got Biawar hosting Coolum as Nambour welcome Caloundra. Those games starting at 5:30. And from 6 o'clock at Kawana, it's Dolphins v Caboolture. And then on Sunday from 3 p.m, Maroochydore at home to Stanley River. In the West Moreton, in Ipswich, all 3 visiting teams got the chocolates last weekend. The Jets 26-16 over Norths, Brothers 52-16 over West End, and Redbank Plains, the Bears winning 58-12 against the Fassifern Bombers. The latter, the Jets and Redbank Plains, both on 19 points. They are first and second respectively. Brothers third on 14. The Bombers fourth on 10, Norths and West End both on 8 points. This Saturday, the Bombers host Norths as Brothers make the trip to Redbank Plains. Kick-off is 6 o'clock for both matches. And then on Sunday at 3 o'clock at Daniels Park, it's West End versus the Jets. In Toowoomba last weekend at Gold Park, Pittsworth 38-16 over Souths. At Glenholme Park, Brothers toppled Highfields 36-26. Dalby won 44-28 at Oakey. Gatton edged out visiting Warwick 26-24. And at the Chook Pen, Wattles defeated Valleys 44-24. The latter, the undefeated Gatton Hawks on 27 points. Wattles and Brothers on 22, Gundawindi 15, Warwick, Pittsworth and Valleys all on 14 points, Dalby 13, Oakey 6, Highfields 5, Souths on 4. Coming up on Saturday, Brothers off to Dalby and Wattles heading down to Gundawindi, and on Sunday, Pittsworth off to Gatton, and Valleys making the trip to Oakey, and last but not least, Highfields at home to Souths. All those games kicking off at 2:30. In the Roma and District Rugby League, last Saturday we had the minor semi-final at Bassett Park. Wallumbilla Surat Red Bulls, they thrashed Jandowie Fishhooks 34-10, and 24 hours later at the same venue in the major semi, a big win for Cities, 46-14 over St George. This Sunday, the preliminary final, again Bassett Park is the venue, St George versus Wallumbilla Surat. Kickoff is 3 o'clock, and the winner to play Cities in the season finale. In the Border Rugby League coming up this Saturday, the grand final. Stanthorpe raging hot favourites after going through the season undefeated, and their opponents to be the Tenterfield Tigers. That's after last weekend's preliminary final in which Tenterfield, playing south of the border, walloped Inglewood. They cooked the Chooks 58-4. And that grand final, by the way, at Sullivan Oval, it gets underway at 2:45. Good luck to both the Gremlins and the Tigers. Finally, the Glitter Strip, the Gold Coast. Last weekend, Burleigh Bears wiped out Runaway Bay 48-0, Costigan 78-10 over Southport, and Currumbin defeated Helensvale 40 points to 16. The latter, the undefeated Bears on 30 points, Costigan 18, Currumbin 16, Runaway Bay 15, Helensvale 11, Southport 0. Coming up this Sunday, Runaway Bay at home to Helensvale, Southport host Currumbin, and Burleigh welcome Costigan, with all those matches getting underway at 3 o'clock. That is Queensland done and dusted. Up next, our final segment as we go south and west of the Murray. That's after the break on Bushbeat. Welcome back to our final segment here on Bushbeat. Now, before we go far and wide, some news out of Newcastle this week that I forgot to mention early in the show today. In fact, it was a story that we carried in our news this week on rugbyleague.com, and that is Newcastle Knights legend Steve Simpson agreeing to take over as the coach of local team, the Northern Hawks, next season. Big news in that part of the world, especially around Port Stephens. Okay, let's now go to Melbourne. And last weekend, the Thunderbolts cleaned up at Casey, 44 points to 16 against the Warriors. The Sunbury Tigers, 48-18 over the Cowboys. And Altona Roosters, a no-show against the Northern Thunder. The Storm Premiership table, the Thunder on top on 28 points. Second, the Thunderbolts, 22. Followed by the Rabbitohs, 18. Warriors, 16. Tigers also 16. Roosters, 8. Cowboys, 4. Coming up on Saturday, the Bunnies host the Tigers at 2:55. The Thunder at home to the Thunderbolts at 4:15. And at Casey, the Warriors versus the Cowboys from Sunshine at 5:25. In the Goulburn Murray, Shepparton scored 20 tries last weekend as they massacred Wangaratta 118 points to 1. I thought this was a typo when I first saw it, but Wangaratta actually got on the scoreboard with 15 to go with a field goal. Can you believe it? Shepparton scoring 118 points, 118, and Wangaratta getting on the score sheet thanks to that field goal. And Tumbarumba, well, they did a similar job on Wodonga, 118-0, the final score in that match. The Galloping Greens crossing for 21 tries. Quite incredible. I reckon the scoreboard attendant must be looking for a pay rise and then some. There was one close game. That was at North Albury. Corowa Cougars winning over the Border Bears 32 points to 30. Tumbarumba remain on top on 24 points. The Cougars second on 22. Shep on 20. Wang 14. Border Bears 10. Wombat 6. And the Wolfpack still listed on 0. This Saturday in the Goulburn Valley, we've got Wang v Wodonga from 1:30, followed by Shep v Border Bears at 3:15. And then on Sunday, Tumbarumba is the home team at Corowa for the match between the Greens and the Cougars. Kickoff is 1:30. In South Australia, the Warriors last weekend, 32-28 over Souths. The Black Swans beat the Eels 44-28. And another forfeit by the Adelaide Plains, this time a no-show against the Roosters. The final standings in South Australia, the Black Swans 18, Warriors and Eels second and third respectively on 12, Roosters 8, Souths 2, and the Adelaide Plains with the donut. The major semi-final coming up on Sunday. Mitchell Park is the venue. It's Black Swans v Warriors. Kickoff is 3:15. In WA, in the Fuel to Go and Play Premiership, the final round last weekend, North Beach beat the Giants 38-18. South Perth routed Rockingham 60 points to 8. And Freo 36-34 over the Bears. The final standings in the West, South Perth and North Beach both finished on 24 points, but the Lions on for and against took out the minor premiership. Fremantle and Willagee both finished on 18 points in third and fourth place respectively, and then Rockingham Sharks and Joondalup Giants both on 6. The finals start on August 23. Finally, the top end, the Dabsco Premiership last weekend, the final round, Brothers 46-16 over Nightcliff. Palmerston upstage table-topping Litchfield 34-24, and the Northern Sharks, They had to work for it against the winless Souths. They won 36 points to 26. The final standings in the top end, Litchfield Bears collecting the minor premiership on 25 points, Brothers 23, Palmerston 22, Nycliffe 10, Sharks 8, South 0. The finals get underway on August 23. That is our show for this week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks once again to Ronnie Reid, my special guest in Proserpine in the Whitsundays. And thanks also to Steve Mascord in London for putting this all together as per usual. For now, this is Costo signing off on Bushbeat. Stick around. The news is next on rugbyleague.com.